Hello and welcome to Prep Playbook. I'm Jim Rapier. Week 7 of the prep football season is complete, and on this week's show, we'll be looking back at some of the past week's action and ahead to some of the games in Week 8. Joining me now to give some analysis and provide some scouting reports for next week's games is Josh Preston. How's it going, Josh? Are you ready to get rolling for another exciting week of prep football?
Always glad to be here for another edition.
All right, well, let's get to it. Josh, this week, let's start with the small schools. That's classes 1A through 3A, and work our way up. That was a really impressive performance by Riverside in its 55-14 victory against Newman. What was your take?
Yeah, Riverside, big game. They were really explosive. Von Julian, 4 touchdowns. I was also really impressed with Jordan Loving. He's a freshman, and he is a big kid. He's about 6'3", over 200 pounds, and he has some real velocity on his throws and was really decisive.
From the highlights that we're seeing right now, it wasn't just the offense that turned in the big plays for Riverside. Their defense came to play, didn't they? Definitely.
Blake Domingue, he had the first pick right there to kind of get the ball rolling. And Kendall Martin, he had 2 interceptions that were really big. And Miles LePay was his first start. Not his first start, but it was about his 5th start. He's a sophomore. He made a few really good plays, and I have some highlights on our website you can check out.
And everyone knows who Kendall Bussey is. That was quite the play with the one-handed catch there and the long run on the screen pass. What did you take from Newman's point of view in this game despite the loss?
Right, as I said, Miles, he still had a pretty good day even despite the interceptions. He completed most of his passes. Kendall Bussey was, explosive as always, and Jay Tyler was able to get in the mix a little bit. Still recovering from that thumb injury, but hopefully they'll be able to get him back soon.
Was there anything that surprised you in this game?
I was a little surprised Riverside was able to run away with it the way they did, but once they got up early, and like I said, Miles was a little bit shaky to start. Once they got up early, it was just no stopping them.
It was a dominant performance by the Riverside Academy Rebels. All right, Josh, St. Charles Catholic and De La Salle really slugged it out in a District 11 3A game, eventually won by St. Charles 28-21. What did you take from that result?
Yeah, really strong performance by St. Charles. They kept fighting, got down early, but they were able to come back and obviously win the game on a touchdown pass from Austin Weber.
And if I remember from your predictions, this score was almost exactly what you picked, isn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty close. I expected it to be close. I was close to picking De La Salle because, they were really good up front. Sounds like they controlled the game for most of the game. But Eric Lewis, he's a big time player for St. Charles, and you can see him with the kick return right there.
Well, there's 3 parts to every game, and special teams are huge. And that play right there was one of the big turning points in the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That helped St. Charles get back in the game, and they were a little beat up on offense. Aaron Lewis is still a little bit injured, but Austin Weber kind of really put the team on his back. Had almost 100 yards rushing, so big game for him.
And as you can see here, this turned out to be the game-winning touchdown pass for the Comets in their big victory. And per a post-game interview that's on NOLA.com, High School Sports, Coach Monica said he was pretty happy to get out of there with the victory.
Yeah, I would think so. As I said, De La Salle is a really stout team. Brady Becker able to give him the win right there.
Very good. All right, let's turn to the big boys, classes 5A and 4A. And right off the bat, Rummel shook off a slow start and took down St. Augustine 35-6. Josh, you were there. What did you see?
Yeah, as you said, Rummel did start off a little bit slow, but a lot of that did have to do with St. Aug. They really stacked the box, about 9 to 10 guys in there almost every play, and Rummel they just couldn't get anything going on the ground, especially in the first half. Offensively,
the Raiders did not start well, but defensively they started very well, didn't they?
Right. Christian Fulton, who we saw with the first pick, and as the second, he is a big-time recruit. A bunch of SEC schools already on him, LSU, Georgia, a few others, and he's going to be a really good player. He's awesome.
The Raiders just turned in a positive performance here. Here we see Chase Forcade with a long pass for a touchdown. Once they got it going in the second half, the momentum really picked up for them, didn't it?
Yeah, David Hensley, he had 2 really big catches. St. Aug tried an onside kick right out of halftime, and Rummel scored on the very next play. And Hensley came back with another long touchdown later, and they just kind of ran away with it.
They talk about having your head on a swivel, and as we just saw in that last defensive play by the Raiders, their cornerbacks seemed to have their head on a swivel, didn't they?
Yeah, all night. They had another pick later in the game, I believe, and Rummel's defense is just top-notch. They had, I want to say, 4 sacks. Tyrell Jacobs was back there a lot, as always, as was Briston Guidry. So Mississippi State commit, so the top-flight defense. Another
impressive victory for the Rummel Raiders. Lastly, in a River Parishes rivalry game, Hahnville defeated East St. John 42-26. Josh, how important was that for the Tigers?
Yeah, that was a big win for Hahnville. They're a really good team. Were able to come back. They got down early in the game but fought back. and East St. John's going to be looking to bounce back now.
And there we see a nice picture taken there, and Hahnville turned in a strong performance and able to win a big rivalry game, grab some bragging rights and everything, and they'll take that momentum moving forward. All right, Josh, let's look ahead to a few games in Week 8. There's a big slate of great games coming up all around the New Orleans area. In a District 7-5A game, a team we just talked about in East St. John has to rebound from its loss to Hahnville when it takes on a very good Thibodaux team. How do you like this matchup, and how big is it for East St. John?
Yeah, East St. John, as you said, this is a huge matchup for them. They're actually still in control of their own destiny. They have a Week 10 matchup with Destrehan. If they can win out, I believe they'll win the district. But Thibodaux is a really tough team. They keep it on the ground, really physical. I think East St. John's going to have a tough time.
And, of course, we see the two-headed monster that leads Destrehan offensively, Nigel Anderson and Xavier Lewis. Okay, Josh, let's look at the North Shore. This week features the annual clash between rivals St. Paul's and Covington. Ponchatoula is the front runner in the district at the moment, but this game is pretty important, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's a big game. I know it was pretty one-sided last year, but usually a really tough matchup between these two teams, and I would expect the same this week.
And, of course, you throw all the emotions on top of it, but St. Paul's has to keep winning, and they have not faced Ponchatoula yet. Covington's going to present some challenges, but St. Paul's will present some challenges as well. They're coming off a new starting quarterback last week for them that played very well, and rolling over North Shore. A lot of momentum in this game, a lot of emotions, a charged-up environment. Everyone should expect a pretty big-time atmosphere.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, the quarterback change has kind of been the story with St. Paul so far. Both of them look pretty good to me, and I'd expect a really good game out of these two.
Yeah. All right, Josh. Let's move down in classifications. Move down a few classifications. In District 9-1A, it looks like this week's matchup of Country Day at Covenant Christian could go a long way in determining the district winner. What do you think?
Right. Country Day, Jace Griffin had a really big game last week for Country Day. He had 5 touchdowns, scored 4 on the ground, a 93-yard, and even had 1 on a kick return, so he'll be looking to have another big one. And Covenant Christian, they were able to get a last-minute touchdown drive in the fourth quarter to stay alive.
Of course, Country Day is going to utilize that split-back veer that's been so good to them, and last year they jumped all over Covenant Christian early, scoring 2 quick touchdowns, and Covenant Christian had to play catch-up the whole time. If Country Day starts fast again, Katie bar the door, no telling what will happen. All right, last, in the Catholic League this week it's Jesuit versus Rummel. What should fans expect from this one?
Heavyweight brawl as always. Jesuit obviously led by Trey LaForge and a really good stable of backs. They've got Chris Jackson, Chris Mills, Charles Jackson, excuse me, and Ben Malcolm back there. Malcolm Ben. But they're a really good team, and obviously Rummel #1 in the state, and we can obviously expect a good game. And
there you see a picture, Rummel getting it done defensively as well as offensively. This is going to be a great matchup, 2 historic rivals in a historic district, and I don't know if it's even going to go a long way in determining who's going to win the district, but it's certainly going to have a key component as to who eventually wins this district.
Right. They got 3 undefeated teams still in the Catholic League, and these 2 are one of them, so it's going to be a big game.
Well, that's just a little bit of the great schedule of games in Week 8, so fans should not have a hard time finding a big game in their area to attend. Thanks for giving us some input, Josh.
No problem.
All right, and don't forget, you can follow all of Josh's work as well as all of our writers at highschoolsports.NOLA.com. Well, that's all for this edition of Prep Playbook. For Josh Preston, I'm Jim Rapier. Thanks for clicking on us. We'll see you again next week.